for my small section and found a pair of pliers. And at that point, I was ready to go back to bed. You can imagine the chagrin that I experienced when was customary. When we went back to school, we would stand and report what we got for Christmas, and other children reported on their flexible flyer sleds, their baseball mitts signed by Joe DiMaggio, or their Lionel 3-track smoker trains. And this, of course, was before we worried about the self-esteem of children. And I had to stand and report that I got a pair of pliers. But here's the thing. 65 years later, I still have those pliers. And there's hardly a month goes by that I don't reach for those pliers to do some thing or other, and it always gives me the opportunity to ask myself, am I as eccentric as my father? But growing up on a farm, of course, you have some appreciation for tools, because without them, your existence can be threatened. And of course, knowing where they are is also important. And so, as my wife Betsy can attest, I have a kind of love affair with tools, and since I've retired, I have been cobbling together the bones of a workshop. And not too long ago, Betsy commented, she says, you know, not that I'm keeping track or anything, but it just seems to me, Merlin, that there are more things going into that shop than coming out. Well, you know, Allie, one thing you need to begin to reckon is that men are by nature prevaricators. It's inherited trait that's led us to cohabit with women down through the ages. And so I found that if I can indicate that I bought some tool or piece of equipment for 20% off, that is helpful. And now, my primary concern is that when I die, Betsy will sell these tools for what I told her I spent for them. So, I have here.
Check that right on.
A few things that. Oh wow.
Oh.
Thad, here's your pliers. One of the reasons that I found tools fascinating is that they are often metaphors for the situations that we have to deal with and the relationships that we maintain, including, of course, a relationship between a man and his wife. And so, for instance, when you clamp something with the jaws of those pliers, you need to be careful or you will make marks on whatever it is you're clamping that you can't remove. They're very difficult to remove. Similarly, when you hit something with a hammer, which is a manly thing to do. And you become obsessed with driving nails into wood, then you must practice a little moderation and restraint, or you will scar the wood, and that's a difficult thing to remove. We are all inclined to take measures of not only boards but other people. And so there's nothing quite as handy as a tape measure, but you need to realize that it's virtually impossible to measure two boards with a tape measure and have those boards be exactly the same way. And furthermore, just when you think you've got a good measure on something or somebody, it flops. So take your measurements with care. One of the things that strikes me as odd is that while everyone wants to be squared away, no one wants to be considered square. There's great appeal when two lines come together at 90 degrees. And of course, the construction industry depends on it. But being constrained by a 90-degree angle can limit our imagination. And as an artist, perhaps you appreciate that. So while things need to be square, there are 360 degrees in a circle. Don't be constrained by just 90 degrees. There are some problems in our lives that can never be absolutely solved once and for all. They keep recurring again and again and again. And one of them is, where are the dad burn studs behind the wall? Well, modern science has solved this problem. This is a stud finder. There's only one problem. Batteries aren't included. Now, there's nothing more straightforward, or at least it used to be the case, than a screwdriver. Screws were either slot-headed or Phillips screwdrivers. However, nowadays we live in the world of diversity. So there are more kinds of screws than you can imagine. Now, when I was looking for these, I came up with two, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to try better, so I got them both. You may want to turn one back. But this one actually turns the screw 6 times faster than you turn the handle.
Holy cow.
And for those who can't afford 2 sets of wrenches, imperial inch and metric, there's nothing handier than an adjustable wrench. And if you happen to come across a nut that's exactly 7/16, you can twist it off with this hang handle.
I always wondered how this was banned.
Finally, needlepoint pliers are handy for dealing with electrical wires or deboning fish. Just remember this: when something is highly charged, turn off the juice. Finally, my favorite tool, a spirit lever. And the reason I like it is because it liberates you from mechanical devices. You don't have to rely on that tape. You try to decide, well, which is more level, the floor or the ceiling? So which do I measure from? Decide and make that shelf level. But you have to have faith in the laws of physics, that that little bubble, when it's between the lines, is absolutely level. You draw the line, and you've got a level shelf. And this is simply a handy knife. If you can figure out how to get the packaging off, you'll need it done. I'll just say this. As an artist, Thad, you know a lot about the materials that nature's given us to provide us with shelter and to beautify it. You know that wood can be sawn, it can be sanded and polished to reveal the beauty of the grain. You know that stone can be chiseled or piled to create images or walls. You know that glass can be cut and colored and blown. All of these materials can be made beautiful. But wood can never become stone. Stone can never become glass. Glass can never become wood. Make beautiful what you have in each other. Don't try to turn each other into something that you're not. There's one other thing. There's an ancient tradition, which, as far as I know, has come to us down through the ages, and that all cultures have engaged in. It's called going to visit Grandpa. Do it.